Hello everybody, I'm Ashley and I'm from United Talks, and today we're doing a video that I did last year, and I want to do it again, because the Premier League is around the corner now, only a few weeks to go, and I wanted to do my predictions of where everyone will be in the table, and I'm going to add a few more things on there, like I've just got how I've planned it all out here. Who's going to win the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and the Champions League. So it's going to be the only one that's a little bit different there, but we can do that now. So yeah, we will start off with the normal league, and then at the end we'll do the cups, so the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Champions League. I'm going to start from, I think last year I started in the relegation zone. What I'll do this time is I'll start at the top. Yeah, I'll start at the top of the table and I'll work my way down, because when I work my way down, I feel like there's going to be a bit of a fiasco about how I've placed people in the league, because it's a bit different towards the bottom, and yeah, so let's get started. So we're going to start off with first place in the Premier League this season. I think they're going to do it. They're going to do it this season. They've came second for God knows how many seasons. I think they're going to do it. Arsenal. I've got Arsenal at the top of my list to become Premier League champions of the 2025-2026 season. I know I've seen a lot of people do their predictions and they've gone straight to putting Liverpool as their, go to winner of the Premier League. They can do back to back. But I don't know. There's something about the fact Arsenal's come second for too long that I feel like this is the perfect time for Arsenal not to come second, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and then swiftly moving on to second in the Premier League, it was switched from last year. So Arsenal were second, Liverpool were first. It's now Arsenal are first, Liverpool are second. Now, I've spoken to a few people about this, and they've said, how can you put Liverpool in second when you look at the transfer window they're having? Now, at this point in time, I think they've just signed Ekitike. I think Hugo Ekitike. So they've got big players. If Ekitike is there, obviously Ekitike, Florian Wirtz. So they are a good side, but I just think one of the main reasons they won the league last season was because of the chemistry of the team. Maybe the chemistry is still going to be the same. Maybe they're going to click straight away. Maybe they'll have a good pre-season. But I think that due to the fact there's new players coming in there, they're going to find it a little bit difficult to work it together at first. And you always need a good positive start at the start of a Premier League season. So yeah, I think Liverpool are going to get a strong second. If they don't and they do get first, well, I've been holding it for Arsenal now for I think 3 years. So not much more we can do there, is there? Which brings us on to third place. Mr. 115 charges. I'm joking, but not really. Manchester City in third. It just seemed like the right place to put them. I think they finished third last season as well. I can't see them doing any better than Liverpool. And if we put Liverpool second, I think Arsenal's going to have a better season than Liverpool, which means I've got to put Man City third. Now, actually, it was a bit close because I was really, really considering putting Man City fourth and putting Chelsea in third. But I've just gave you away who's in fourth for me. It's Chelsea. I just think Chelsea played in the FIFA Club World Cup and they didn't get a proper pre-season. because rotation wasn't really a big thing for them. They were in a competition. I know Man City also played in it, but they were knocked out by Al Hilal 2 rounds before, so they were able to. They had a bit more of a pre-season, and I think that's the only reason. And also, their Chelsea's transfer window, I don't know how I feel about it. They're doing what they always do, signing another team. Pretty much, they're just signing everyone they can get their hands on. Actually, telling that João Pedro, what a signing he was in the FIFA Club World Cup. But yeah, that makes Chelsea 4th. So at the moment, we've got Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea in that order. And in 5th place, it was another big one I was worried about, and I didn't know what to do here between 5th and 6th. Eventually, I chose with Newcastle in 5th. They had a good season last season. They are in the Champions League. Will they drop off a little bit? Possibly. I'm not entirely sure. There's not really much I can say about Newcastle. I just think they're going to finish 5th. And then after that, we get Aston Villa. I think Villa are going to come 6th. They could come either 5th or 6th. I think Newcastle and Aston Villa, they are... You can switch them around as you wish, for me. They're in the Europa League. They should win that. They should win the Europa League. And at the moment, I still don't know if Nottingham Forest or Crystal Palace are going to be in the Europa League, because obviously UEFA have got the whole thing with Crystal Palace and their ownership and stuff, not being able to play in the Europa League or something like that. But yeah, I think Aston Villa will finish in 6th. The Europa League should be an easy win for them, and I think they're going to have a good season. Obviously, a good season will push them a bit higher, maybe into Champions League spots, but I think Europa League, it's going to be difficult, and I don't know how I feel about their transfer window. I don't know if it's good, if it's bad. I'm not entirely sure. So, well, we just have to see what happens with Villa. Now, in 7th, don't need to judge me, but I've put United, as in Man United. There's a reason, and it's because there's no way in anywhere in this world United are going to have a worse season than we did last season. If we do, it's relegation. And if that happens, I might cry a little bit. Actually, not even a little bit, I'll cry a lot. I think we're going to get 7th. It's the highest we can get, because let's face it, we're not better than Villa. We're not better than Newcastle. Some people will argue that we're not better than most teams in the Prem, but you know, we'll just go with it. So yeah, United in 7th. We've had a very lousy transfer window, but I think Cunha and Bumo, they're going to be big help. And then obviously I've heard we're going for a striker now, so there's a possibility of Sesko and a goalkeeper, which kind of solidifies everything that we need in the team. That's 4 signings, and then, I don't know, we may get a midfielder as well, because I know that there are rumours that we're looking for a midfielder. So getting 5 signings at least in would help us a lot, and would probably push us up to about 7th, because I think that's the highest we can get, so I'm trying to be optimistic for ourselves. But Man United in 7th. In 8th, just behind Man United, I've put Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest have been a story to tell. So, from not last season, the season before, they finished 17th, just avoiding relegation, to then last season, flying up to 7th, I think it was. That is a 10 place, that's a 10 place improvement in the Prem. That is amazing. Do I think they're going to drop off? Yes. No matter what happens with the Crystal Palace stuff, they're going to have European football, and they should be pushing to win the Europa League. And if they're in the Conference League, there is no excuse. Nottingham Forest should, get that trophy, which is great, because I can't remember the last time Nottingham Forest got a trophy. So Nottingham Forest should get a trophy, but it also does put pressure on the Premier League. They've got European football. They're going to be travelling. People are going to be travelling to them. They're going to have busy Thursday, or is it Wednesday nights for the Conference League? They're going to have busy midweek games. which leaves less time for training and fitness. So I've put Nottingham Forest in 8th. Now in 9th, I have put AFC Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a good side. There's not really much for me to say about Bournemouth. They like to linger around the mid-table zone, and I think it just seems right for them to be there. When I was figuring out where I wanted everyone, Bournemouth were one of those people where I got to the end and they were the last person to put in. And it just seemed right to have Bournemouth in 9th. Not because there was no other places I could have shifted some people around, but I think Bournemouth was screaming to be 9th. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling Bournemouth are going to finish 9th. They may tie with Nottingham Forest, but Forest beat them on goal difference. Possibly. That's where I've come to it, 8th or 9th, but I do think 9th. Which brings us to 10th place. Now, there's a lot of teams we haven't seen yet, but I think 10th will be Tottenham. New owner, new manager, Thomas Frank from Brentford. Ange Postecoglou got sacked after the win against United in the Europa League final. They have Champions League. They have a new manager, have a new system, new players. It just seems like a lot of new. You know what I mean? Like a lot of new stuff and a lot of things that can distract them from the Prem. I don't think they'll have as bad as a Premier League season as they did last year. But I'm saying 10th. I think that's a good place to put Tottenham. Okay, so we're now going to move into the bottom 10 of the table. Now, all I want to say is, for all the teams that were in the top 10, I did this for a reason, just based on what I think is going to happen. Bear in mind, this is my opinion. The people in from 11th to 20th, if it is your club that's there, it's not a dig at your club. It's just, I think that's where they're going to finish due to the reasons I'll state when I get to that club. There's no reason to be horrible about it. Drop your comments down below and just let me know who you think and where you think your team's going to finish. And where everyone else is going to finish as well, and who will win the FA Cup, Carabao Cup and the Champions League. But anyway, let's get straight back on to number 11th, who I think will be Brighton. Now, Brighton have really consolidated themselves as a mid-table team. They normally start to have, at the start of the season, have a really good start, and then towards the end, they start dropping off. I don't know, I feel like they're still going to be around the 10, 11, 12th section of the table. And I do think the Seagulls, they will have a decent season. I haven't really seen them make any significant signings. But yeah, I think 11th is a fair statement for Brighton. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. And yeah, so that's Brighton number 11. Now, number 12, and I think this is where they finished last season, Crystal Palace. Palace, depending on if they're in Europe or not, I think could either be higher or lower. I've put Palace in 12th because that's where I believe they finished last season, and it was just kind of like a safety thing because no one really knows what's going on with Palace. If they win, if they're in the Europa League, I'd probably push them down to 14th. If they are out of the Europa League, I would even go as far as saying they could reach for maybe 11th, 10th. But Crystal Palace 12th, it just seemed like the right place to put them considering we don't know what competition they're going to be in next season, whether they're going to be in Europe or not. And it can change a lot for teams that have never been in Europe. Crystal Palace obviously won the FA Cup last season. It was the first major trophy they'd ever won. So I don't know, maybe the Europa League will get to them, maybe it won't. If they're in it anyway. But yeah, I think 12th is a fair place to put them. It just seems right. So moving on to number 13, we're going to go down to Craven Cottage. I think Fulham are going to finish 13th. Another one like Bournemouth, I don't know why. I had an inclination and I went with it. I can't remember where they finished last season. I think it was 11th possibly. But I do think Fulham are going to struggle this season. I don't exactly know why. I just feel like one team has to struggle. And I feel like well, I've got a few teams struggling here, but one team that normally no one really worries about around the relegation zone is going to struggle, and I do think that's going to be Fulham. It's nothing against Fulham. I think Fulham are a great team. It's just I had this inclination that they were going to finish 13th and they weren't going to have as well as a season as they would hope. So that is 13th for Fulham. Okay. Next up, number 14, we are going to a new stadium. I completely forgot the name of it, but Everton, they're in their new stadium. They can't get relegated or be anywhere near, well, I'll say anywhere near, anywhere close and like dangerously close to relegation in a brand new stadium. It would be embarrassing. I think they're going to have an okay season. A season pretty much like last season. Maybe not the start. 4 losses in a row. But I do think Everton are going to stay up comfortably in their new stadium. And I hope they have a good season in their new stadium. But yeah, 14th I think is pretty fair. Now, I was stuck between 14th and 15th because of the other team I'm going to mention now. But I just feel like new stadium, new confidence. I feel like Everton are going to have that drive to try and do as best as they can, especially in home games in their new stadium. So that was number 14. In 15th place in the Premier League, we have Wolverhampton Wanderers. So, last season, there was a bit of everything going on. They had a manager change, and this summer they've lost so many players. I think 3 main players. So Cunha, who's obviously came to United, Ait Nouri has gone to City. Sarabia, is it? I think it is. I don't know where he went, but he's gone as well. That's a lot of players for Wolves to miss. But Wolves always seem to do well, no matter what circumstance they're in. They have their games where they're a bit off it, but Wolves just always seem to linger at the bottom of the table. It's not because they're bad, I just think it's because of the management they had under, forgot his name, their old manager, Gary O'Neill. But now they have Victor Pereira. I think he's an amazing manager, and I think he is going to do wonders for Wolves, and I do think he'll keep him up. And I think he's going to need, I don't know, maybe 2-3 transfer windows to really maybe start pushing for mid-table or even possibly Europe. But for now, I think 15th is a fair place to put Wolves. So, now, this is where it gets a bit crazy, because we have 5 teams left to add to the Premier League. We have West Brom. No, we don't. Ignore me. West Brom isn't in the Prem. No. West Ham, Brentford, and then obviously the 3 teams that came up. Leeds, Burnley and Sunderland. So, I've heard a lot of people speaking that out of all 3 of the teams that came up, Leeds have the most chance to stay up. I agree with that, but I also think there's another team that came up that would also have a good chance due to their transfer window. Sunderland. So, this already gives you an inclination of what I'm doing. 16th place in the Premier League, we're having Leeds. We'll start off with Leeds first. Man United just had a pre-season game against Leeds, and they look very, very well shaped. Very good. It finished 0-0. Not surprised United didn't score anything, but they look very well organised, very well shaped. And if that's a pre-season game, I am a little bit nervous about what they're going to bring to the Prem. They have made some good signings. Don't ask me who they are. I've just heard they've made some good signings. And they've done well in the transfer window. They're spending the money they know they need to spend to try and stay up. And I think it's going to pay off for Leeds. It'll be good to see Leeds back in the Prem, because when I think of Leeds, I think Premier League. I think of Premier League. When I think of Brentford, maybe I don't. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think Leeds are going to finish 16th. They're going to get through comfortably, I think. So that's Leeds 16th, which now moves us on to 17th, who just avoids relegation, Sunderland. Now, Sunderland are back in the Prem. I have been wanting Sunderland to be back in the Premier League for a while. I think their team, I just like Sunderland. Maybe this is slightly biased then. I don't support them, I just think I like them. I like the whole derby with Newcastle. it's going to be a fun season for neutrals to watch the Sunderland and Newcastle games. I think it's going to be some of the greatest games in recent Premier League history, I think. But Sunderland, again, like Leeds, they've made exceptional use of the transfer window, signing players they know they're going to need to sign. I think they just spent 15 million on a centre back. I think it was. Was it on centre back from Newcastle, or was that Leeds? I can't remember, but I know Sunderland have been busy as well, and I think they're just going to scrape relegation. I don't think it's going to be as easy as it is for Leeds to escape it, but I think Sunderland may just have the edge. Which brings us down into the three that I think are going to be relegated, which are West Ham, Brentford and Burnley. We'll start off with West Ham. They're just not doing well. I don't know what it is with them. They just don't seem to be with it. Over the last 2 seasons, they've been down there at the bottom of the table, really struggling. And I don't know what it is. It's shocking a little bit. I don't know what's going on with West Ham. I haven't seen them make any crazy transfers. So I can't really say much, and I just don't think they're going to have it this year. So that's West Ham down. Next up is Brentford. Now, I didn't want to put Brentford here, but because of what's happening in the transfer window, I've got to talk about it. First of all, their captain, Norgard, has gone to Arsenal. If you lose your captain to a big team like Arsenal, you know that you've missed out on something. You know that you've lost a very important player in your team. So Norgard has gone to Arsenal. Then we talk about Mbeumo. Mbeumo, their top goal scorer last season, the fourth top goal scorer in the Premier League last season, has gone to United. Well, has came to United. That doesn't mean he's going to cook at United before anyone starts going, you're United, you ruin players. Okay, we get it. But I'm saying, that is a huge loss for Brentford. It is huge. Are Brentford going to have to stay up? Because I could probably turn around and said last season, if Norgard and Mbeumo weren't in the Brentford team, I couldn't see them staying up. And now they're not in the team. Now, I'm not saying they haven't earned money off it. Of course they've earned money off it. They can reinvest. But are they going to reinvest properly? They're a Premier League team that is often forgotten by me because they are just staying around mid-table. And I think this is the time where they're going to have to witness the Championship again. I just think because of how many players are going. I mean, Newcastle tried to get Wissa. What's his name? Wissa. That's another forward for Brentford that could have gone. Obviously, that was stopped by Man United signing Mbeumo. But, I think Brentford are down. And then 20th place, Burnley. They were defensively good last season. They've made a few signings. But I just don't think they have it. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Burnley. I don't really like Burnley. And I just think, just like the last time they were in the Prem, they're going to get points, but they're not going to get enough. And they may fall down there in 20th place. So I think that is the Premier League table that I've got going. So I'll quickly go over it again. So we have Arsenal in first, Liverpool in second, Man City in third, Chelsea in fourth, Newcastle in fifth, Aston Villa in sixth. Then we have Man United in seventh, Nottingham Forest in eighth, Bournemouth in ninth, Tottenham in 10th, Brighton in 11th, and Crystal Palace in 12th. Fulham in 13th, Everton in 14th, Wolves in 15th, Leeds in 16th, Sunderland in 17th, West Ham in 18th. And then 19th is Brentford, and then finished at the bottom of the Premier League table is Burnley. So that is the Premier League table as I've got now. So we have the last 3 categories to go over. Who's going to win the FA Cup? Who's going to win the Carabao Cup? And who is going to win the Champions League? So obviously I've predicted Arsenal to be Premier League champions. So now it is time for us to go through the FA Cup. So the FA Cup is probably I think it is the oldest cup competition in English football. I love the FA Cup personally. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. And I think this year, United are going to win it. Man United are going to win the FA Cup. We're not in Europe. We just have to focus on the Prem and the domestic trophies. And I think this is the year where Man United will bring the FA Cup back home to Old Trafford. We will be tied on how many FA Cups we have with Arsenal, which will be 14 each. And I think this is the perfect year for Manchester United. After a terrible, disappointing season last season, I think this is a perfect opportunity to bring a trophy home and redeem ourselves from the shit last season that we had. Now we're going to move on to the Carabao Cup. Carabao Cup, I hate. I'm just going to say it. I hate this competition. I don't like it. I really don't. It's like the FA Cup for the start of the season. I don't like it. But saying that, I think Chelsea are going to win it. Newcastle won it for the first time in ages last season, and I think Chelsea have got it this season. I've got to put them down as winning a trophy. I mean, they beat PSG 3-0 in the FIFA Club World Cup final. I feel like they've got to have some credit for that. I think they'll win the Carabao Cup this season. And then last but not least, we're going to move on to the Champions League. Barcelona are going to win the Champions League 2025-26. I think PSG are going to fall off. I have no faith that PSG are going to stay up. They may be the best team in the world right now, but I do believe Barcelona have got it. They lost to Inter Milan last time, I think in the semi-finals. And I think this is the time. Rashford has just gone to Barcelona. Not saying Rashford's going to be the reason they win it, but I think he's going to be a big help. And I think Barcelona are going to win the Champions League. So, yeah, that's what I think about that. Let me know what you guys think about the FA Cup, Carabao Cup and Champions League. Let me know, obviously, down in the comments. Like, comment and subscribe, notification bell on, and share with as many people as you can. We're trying to build a community here, and it would be awesome. Big shout out to a few people I've been in contact with recently, Stateside Reds. They are awesome, an American YouTube group that you should go and check out. I will leave their link in the description. Go and check those guys out. And yeah, I think that's it. All of y'all, stay red.